tiebreaker against Seattle in the NFC West, but your last matchup with them this year, they didn't even hit you once.
I don't really pay attention to those numbers because I know the type of guys they have over there. I know the guy I played against them. They have great players. So for us to, go out there in Seattle and try to get a win is going to be tough, but we got the guys to do it.
Looks like a fun conversation. Looking forward to seeing how that one plays out, Nick.
Yeah, I'm curious if how much MVP he talks about. We are on back-to-back years where the MVP has been a second-year player. It was almost 3 in a row if Wentz didn't get hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Wentz, then Mahomes, then Lamar. Kyler has a chance to make it 3 in a row, nearly 4 in a row. I wonder if they get into it, Jim.
This game's going to be good.
Let's stick with a little Thursday night football preview the game. Seahawks coming in with that #1 scoring offense. Cardinals coming in with that #6 scoring offense. Kyler and Russ both seem to be cooking these days. Keep in mind, Arizona, Seattle, Los Angeles, all in a logjam at 6-3 out west. So this is a big game. Coach Eric Mangini is joining us now. Coach, good morning. Thanks for hanging out. Who do you like tonight, Cardinals or Seahawks?
Good morning, everybody. It's good to see you guys. When I look at this, I like Seattle in this matchup, and I know everybody's in love with Arizona and they're red hot, but you win a game by about as improbable a play as you could possibly get. They shouldn't have won last week, and then look, give them credit. It's a great play, but it's about as low percentage as you can dial up, and then. The last time they played, they really shouldn't have beaten Seattle. I mean, Russell Wilson throws 3 picks, 2 of them, well, actually all 3 of them. 2 of them were going in. One I think was on the 3-yard line. That game just got a little bit away from Seattle because they were pressing too much. I think the key thing though is how each team deals with the pressure that the defenses are going to bring. Arizona's been top in the league in terms of that, and was able to be effective last time against Russell, but I think they'll adjust well. And Seattle's trying to bring more pressure to generate some type of positive plays. I'd say overall, as much as Nick wants to let Russ cook, and that was the answer to all of Seattle's problems, there's got to be some more balance here with the running game, and that's you got to take some pressure off Russell Wilson. He needs a sous chef. Just give him a little running game, even if it's not that effective.
I was going to ask you about that. But first, this is, up to this point in the season, this is the biggest game the league has had through 10-plus weeks. Seahawks Cardinals now overtakes the Bucs Saints from a few weeks ago, the undefeated matchup when it was Steelers Titans. This is the biggest game we've had thus far this NFL season, and I'm super excited for it. I also like Seattle, and I'm not surprised in the least that coach is trying to pump the brakes on the Cardinals. One day I want to find out how long Coach dated his wife before he asked her to marry him, because I feel like Coach, I got to see more. Listen, I love you. You seem great. I need more. I got to see a little bit more. So I knew he was not going to be fully sold on the Arizona Cardinals yet. Talk to him in 2023 about them.
We lived together in a couple cities and bought 2 houses together, so there was a lot of research that went into it before we finally.
Oh, see, I knew it.
There was a lot.
I knew it. He traveled, bought real estate before. He's like, I just need to see a little more. But all right, I want to go back to you quickly, Coach, on the let Russ cook stuff, because you texted me about this a few weeks ago, and now it's kind of come into fruition, which is one of Russ's calling cards his whole career has been I don't want to say inability, his ability to not turn the ball over, how cautious he's been with the football, and there have been a lot of us saying, unleash him more, let him do more. How much of this abundance of turnovers, 10 in the last 4 games, do you think is a product of not only them asking him to do a lot more, but him feeling like I have to do everything in order for this team to win?
Well, there's a lot of truth to that, because they haven't developed anything effectively in terms of the running game, and there hasn't been the commitment to the running game like there was last year. And as much as people were frustrated with the way that they played last year, it was good for Russell Wilson, and there was it doesn't have to be that extreme, but we don't have to go to the extreme that we're at now as well. And when you've got a defense that's struggling and you're throwing the ball as many times they are, that lengthens the game, that creates extra opportunities for your defense to be out there, and then it puts a ton of pressure on the quarterback. And I've said this over and over again, whether it's Patrick Mahomes, whether it's Russell Wilson, whoever it is, they're not. They may look like superheroes, but there's gonna be weeks where they don't play like it. And if you have no second pitch, you're in a lot of trouble. And I think that's where Seattle finds themselves at times. Is there's so much emphasis on the passing game that if Russell doesn't carry them, that they're done.
Yeah, Coach, for the most part, I agree with you. I like Seattle in this game because of Russell Wilson. Like, I played with this guy. He is the ultimate competitor. He's smart, and he's really good at football. That's just who he is. So for this guy to go on this bad run, it has to stop somewhere. And you got to get to the root of it. You go back to week 7, this is where it all started. Him throwing those 3 picks, him pressing too much. But when we talk about, the ends of the spectrum, they just took it a little too far, and this is where I agree with you, Coach. Last year, and for the last couple years, and the reason why everybody was standing on the table saying, let Russ cook, is because Pete Carroll was so adamant about running it on first down, running it on second down, and then throwing it on third down. And you have a quarterback who can play at a high level, which we saw this year in the passing game. But what they did is they went to the opposite end of the spectrum. That's not who they are, is to get away from the run. They went from not running it or not passing it at all on first down to being the #1 team on first down throwing the ball. That's just too drastic. You got a great running game. You have offensive linemen who wants to lean on those D linemen. That I was there for 10 months, and all I heard was, we want more runs. We want more runs, because there was this battle internally where it was like, let Russ cook. Going back a couple years ago when I was in that locker room, there was a battle there. And then the offensive linemen, all they wanted to do was run the ball because they felt like that was the identity of the team. So if they get back to playing balanced football, they'll get right back on track. Because you look back last week, Wilds, that defense that you've been talking about all year, they held the LA Rams to 23 points.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh my gosh, the Chicago Bears, 85 Bears there. It's 23 points. But do you hear that music? Do you hear that music, Brandon and Nick? You know what that is? That's the music of the future. That's the music of a new segment that we've been trying to kicking around in the lab. It's called Future Things First. Tomorrow's headlines today, which I think is like a Colin thing, but we're switching it up. Future Things First. First headline, Nick, coming your way. What happens tonight? I'll tell you what's going to happen. Boom! Baker cooks Russ. Another interception, pick 6, Seals, Cards win, and DK Metcalf won't be able to chase him down this time. Russ presses way too much because he knows his defense is back to giving up 500 yards. He's got to throw the ball around. Buda Baker grabs the ball, runs it to the touchdown, and then he does a bowling celebration that this time works because last time he had it inverted. Instead of had it like this, he had it like that. Okay, the next headline, what's the back page of the Future Things First say? It's in the future. We're just waiting in the future. Oh, 12, and he didn't throw 1 interception. He threw 2. Tied with Carson Wentz now tomorrow. And look at the little sub-headline. The loss stings Nick Wright's committee. Sinks the Seahawks even further down, Nick. So there you go. It's a big spoiler alert.
This is so good.
Might tank the ratings now that I gave you the whole thing, so I'm sorry. But, Nick, there you go. Russ presses too much. Cardinals come up with 2 more interceptions.
So listen, so this is interesting. So Brandon, Coach, and I all have Seattle. Future Things First and Wilds has Arizona. So I want to kick it back to Coach in this regard. If Arizona wins, and it's only a 3-point spread, and they did beat them in the previous matchup, albeit, you're right, there were a lot. I mean, that was a wild game that could have been a tie at the end. Russ throws a pick in overtime, which was, I think, his worst play of the entire season was that pick in overtime. You just don't know what he was seeing. If Arizona wins, how much will that change your opinion on their ability to be a contender this season? Not long term, but this season.
It's good.
Well, look, it's positive, but it'll be a little bit more of an indication of of where Seattle is than I think where Arizona is.
Okay.
It's hard to win the way that Arizona's won the last 2 out of the 3 games. If they come out and win convincingly tonight, I'd say that would go much further. But I also think it's a little bit indicative of how far Seattle's dropped.
Thursday Night Football tonight on Fox. Moving on, the Saints. The Saints have a decision to make at quarterback. We'll discuss the implication of both of their options on the other side. First things first.